So this is our unit 6. The most important thing in communication is hearing what isn't said. We are going to identify the uses of passive voice in both present and past. And this is the secret. Passive voice has to do with identifying when we use active voice. We make emphasis on the person who does the action, the doer. Me doing something, or you doing something, or your friend doing his favorite activity. When we use passive voice, we make emphasis on the action done to someone, the receiver. So here the most important thing is the receiver. We have two examples here. Gazeta UNAM publishes scientific news. The important part here is the Gazeta UNAM and what it does, which is publishing scientific news. In an active voice, the most important thing is the doer. On the other side, in the passive voice, the important thing is not the Gazeta UNAM. It's the action, but we need to make some changes in order to emphasize that. Take a look at the following example. In this example, the most important thing is not the subject or the action, is the receiver. For example, scientific news. Scientific news are published in Gazeta UNAM. What is different? Exactly, the order and the use of the verb to be and the past participle. We have more examples here and the changes between active and passive voice. Take a look at this. We have the active and the passive voice. In the active voice, we have an example. Gazeta UNAM publishes scientific news. Reporters watched the event. The photographer takes beautiful pictures. But when we make the changes into a passive voice, we need to change the order. The scientific goes at the beginning, publishes stays in the middle, but we make some changes, and Gazeta UNAM goes at the end. For example, scientific news are published in Gazeta UNAM. Or the next one, the event was watched by the reporters. And lastly, beautiful pictures were taken by the photographer. Sometimes we can omit or remove the doer. Look at the following example. During the pandemic, thousands of people were infected by COVID-19 virus. But we decide not to use the COVID-19 virus. We understand the idea. So at the end, the doer is not very important. The action is. Here we can see the structure of the passive voice in present and past. As you can see, the only thing that changes is the verb to be, from the present tense to the past. In the present passive, we always use the structure subject, verb to be, past participle, and the rest of the idea. In the subject is always the people we are talking about, I, you, he, she, we, and they. And for example, fake news. We have some examples. I am told about the fake news. Fake news aren't read in schools. Remember that in questions you need to change the verb to be at the beginning. Are the fake news written in newspapers? As you can see, past passive is very similar to the present passive. You just need to change the verb to be. Instead of saying am, are, is, we're going to use was or were, and the negatives wasn't. Some examples here. They were accused by the reporter. The thief wasn't accused by the reporter, or was the thief accused by the reporter? Remember, you need to change also the verb to be to the beginning when you ask questions.